One of the most confusing things about breakups is how different people respond to the same event. So, two people can go through nearly identical endings, and one seems to stabilize within weeks, and the other unravels for months. One becomes cold or controlled, another spirals into longing. Another gets stuck replaying or analyzing everything that happened. Most explanations for this focus on personality, attachment style, or emotional maturity. But from a somatic perspective, many of those applications or those explanations miss a deeper point. Because what you're seeing after a breakup isn't personality, it's nervous system organization under relational load, aka pressure. When a primary bond breaks, the nervous system doesn't just grieve. It reveals its default strategy for surviving destabilization. And those strategies tend to fall into a few recognizable patterns. Before we go further, one important clarification. These patterns are not fixed traits. They're not a label for who you are. They are how your system organizes when coherence is threatened. Under different conditions, with different training, the same person can express very different patterns. But if you want to know which pattern you tend to default to under stress, there is a short Somatic Skins Quiz assessment linked in the description below. It's not a label, it's an orientation, like the start of a deeper conversation with yourself, so that you can stop judging your responses and you can start working intelligently with it. So you can pause this video, go down and take the quiz, and come back. Now, let's walk through exactly what happens. Some nervous systems respond to breakups by collapsing inward. This is the person who feels suddenly exhausted, indecisive, emotionally flooded, unable to hold themselves together in the way that they're used to. On the outside, they may still function. They go to work, they talk to friends, they appear composed, but internally their architecture is sliding. Their breath is high. Their posture is softened. Their attention diffuses, and the world feels heavier than it should. This isn't weakness. It's a system that lost structural and relational support faster than it could reorganize. The body interprets that loss as threat, and emotional intensity spikes because there's no containment for their sensation. These are often the people who feel ashamed for falling apart after a breakup, even when nothing about their life objectively really changed. What changed was the nervous system's ability to carry load. Other nervous systems respond in exactly the opposite direction. Instead of collapsing, they clamp down. These are the people who become hyper-controlled, overly decisive, emotionally rigid. They may say that they're fine and they may double down on discipline, but underneath that presentation is unresolved tension. So their breath is held and compressed, their body is stiff, their adaptability drops, and this isn't strength. Think of it as an exoskeleton of bracing. The system doesn't trust that it can stay coherent if it softens even a little, and so it locks. Control becomes the substitute for stability, and while this can look functional for a while, it often leads to burnout, irritability, or a sudden collapse later on. Now, there are other systems that respond by spiraling cognitively. These are the people who replay conversations endlessly, searching for meaning, analyzing every moment, and trying to understand what went wrong at a conceptual level. They aren't avoiding feeling, they're trying to regulate feeling through kicking themselves upward into the head for insight. But the problem is that attention has outrun the body. The nervous system hasn't stabilized enough to metabolize sensation, and so it moves into thought as a way to manage overwhelm. Insight becomes the holding pattern. And while understanding can feel productive, it often keeps the system looping and orienting toward the past instead of rebuilding present stability. And then there are the systems that respond by disappearing. These are the people who withdraw socially. They minimize their needs or convince themselves that they shouldn't take up space. They may tell themselves that they're being mature, but inside there's often a collapse of identity. Their breath is flat, their expression or vitality dims. The system is shrinking to avoid future or further destabilization. This pattern often goes unnoticed by others, and even by the person themselves, until the effect shows up as numbness, disconnection, or a loss of direction. What's important to understand is that none of these patterns are wrong. They're innocent attempts to maintain coherence when a primary regulator disappears. The mistake people make is trying to fix the behavior without understanding the underlying organization. So they'll try to force themselves to feel, or stop feeling, or think differently, or be stronger, without rebuilding the capacities the nervous system actually needs. This is why generic breakup advice so often falls flat. Advice that helps a collapsing system will often make a bracing system worse. Advice that helps a cognitively spiraling system will overwhelm a system that's already saturated. Advice that pushes someone to put themselves out there can destabilize someone whose structure hasn't come back online yet. Once you can see your pattern clearly, the path forward becomes more precise. Collapse requires structure and load bearing before emotional processing. Bracing requires range and accuracy, not relaxation. Cognitive spiraling requires embodiment before insight. And disappearing from one's own vitality requires presence and boundaries before openness. These aren't mindset shifts. They're somatic sequences. And the relief that comes from understanding this can be immediate because A, you're not broken. 2, you're not regressing. 3, you're not doing grief wrong. The nervous system is doing exactly what it knows how to do under loss. In the next video, we're going to talk about what actually helps the system reorganize after a breakup, not by forcing yourself to move on, but by restoring capacities that make moving forward possible. And that's where the real magic begins. If you've made it this far in the series and you're enjoying it, please do like and subscribe. It helps the channel out. We appreciate it. And if you already know that you would like to train applied somatics with us directly and experience the power of this for yourself or your clients, do consider joining us for a season of The Prestige. Until next time.